Today we are modifying Rescue 6, which is my fire department operated ambulance. The main change we're going to do today is swapping out this brick-built door with this white molded one. The brick-built door made sense when I had an actual gap, a half stud space in between the cab and the body, but at some point in time I decided that it didn't need it and I scooched them together. Only problem is now the door doesn't want to open smoothly. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove this door, we're going to put the new one in, and then we're going to change the lines and the stripe a bit. So the new door is going to go probably about right here, maybe a little bit higher. I'm not sure how it's going to work yet. Kind of depends on the floor, because the floor has a somewhat unique build to this. Even though it's 5 wide, the studs in the very middle are centered slightly. You can see the chassis where the actual wheelbase is 4 wide. So the box on the back actually goes up and around the rear wheels using jumper plates. So it's going to be a little bit complicated to change, but we will tear it apart and see what we can do. So as you can see, the ambulance is torn apart. Basically, it comes apart in chunks. So I have the floor right here. I just redid part of how the plating was done so that it works better with how the new walls are going to be. Because obviously before, we had the door that was taking up this space right here. So we pushed this wall out a little bit, and then we're going to work on the other side. When I take this apart, you can see it kind of comes apart in chunks. So the stretcher is mounted on this inside wall right here, and then the stretcher with wheels is what goes right here, like that. There we go. We're going to put this changed floor back in, and then I'm going to finish up this wall behind the cab, and then it'll be time for this section. Alright, I made some more changes, and now we have the start of the right side wall back. So this is how it was before. The window has been shifted down a little bit, and I'm going to have to take apart these pieces so that I can basically put this half, or this 3/4, back into the same spot, and then figure out some plates or some sort of combination of parts that's going to go over the top of the door and hold it. I will probably also change the cab, because right now we have unused space behind the driver, so I'll probably mess around with this as well when I'm done with the box. It was occurring to me with these changes, how fast they are, that I probably could have just time-lapsed this, but oh well, I'll give you an update in a sec. Alright, so I have this side finished. Now I cleaned up the white at the back, I got rid of those 2 stripes, and let's see how this door opens. Yeah, so now it opens up at floor level, so there's not like a ridge that I have to step over or another step up, because I also lowered the floor inside there by plate. Now, next I gotta get rid of the white stripes on this side, so it's just this thin line going up and down, and I'll probably swap out some of these red parts as well to add more clips and adjust the equipment loadout inside, because right now they have like a first aid kit, then supposed to be like an EKG or some sort of monitoring thing, and then what would these be? I guess plasma, and then other medical type stuff that you would find in the ambulance, medications or whatever. I guess the medications would be in here. Bandages. Let's see what the bottom one is. Yeah, more bandages and stuff. And then I also have, you see there's a little gap back there under the shelf. That is this outside door, which is where these 2 things fell out. But they are supposed to go inside of there. Can't really do it with one hand, but that's where they go, is alongside each other. Although now that I don't have the floor in there as high, I'll probably have to put something behind them to stop them, or maybe just mount them on the inside underneath the shelf. I think that's probably what I'll do. I'm also thinking about trying to add a passageway in here up to the cab. I know that I can do it, but I'm just not sure if I want to do it. I can definitely do it if I want to. I'm just not sure that I want to. So I think that I'm going to put a window through there at least, so they can communicate, just probably not a whole passageway. So let me swap out this side, and then I will split the cab and box apart, and then we can mess around with that. Alright, I fixed this side, so now the stripe is just vertical, and changed the equipment around, and then kind of prototyped where these tiles are going to go. So now I'm going to pop the cab off, just like that, and I'm going to rebuild it. Alright, Rescue 6 is now completed. So we have the white door, smaller white door on this side, and we retain the back, the white just square on the back, and we have a tiny window now on the right side instead of the 2x2 size one. The compartment here is moved back a little bit, but it is still a pass-through. You can go all the way into the compartment box. And then I also changed how it's connected, and as well, we now have a pass-through. So you can kind of see it's actually pretty big. It's 3 studs wide, and what's that? About 4 or 5 studs tall. So it's pretty considerable, actually. And then now you might be wondering why it's actually pretty secure. Now I do have the Technic pins holding it together. You can kind of see one down in the corner there, but that is not enough to hold those together. So what I actually ended up doing was reworking the chassis, and now you can see some clever offset building techniques. It took a lot of messing around to get it right to be as sturdy as it was. Originally, I had these 1x3 rounded tiles. I had 1x2 rounded tiles in the top of this doorway, holding the top of the door frame to the underside of the roof. And that worked pretty well, except that you couldn't really open it up without it falling apart. So this is what I came to. It's not quite as sturdy as it would be if the connection was between the doorway and the roof, but it is actually significantly sturdy, especially with it just sitting on the ground. It naturally is pushing the front and back half together. So that is all for this modification, and now Rescue 6 can be put back into service.